Good morning and welcome to the Angel and Tina Morning Show. We're super excited to have you joining us today. Tina, how are you doing?
I am doing fabulous. Today is Thursday and we have one of the most amazing guys. Oh my gosh, Ray Higdon is in the house. Woo! He's in the house. He's in the house. We have waited how long? 10 months? 10 months. And we have all these big people on here. Les Brown, all these big Todd Falcone, and everybody talks about Ray Higdon. And I was like, okay, well, I'm working my way up to the top. And finally,
I'm excited to be here.
He is here. I am so excited. It is Thursday, December 10th. We were just talking in the green room about what a great time it is to go to Disney World.
Disney World. Did. Ray, he said, okay, so are you a Disney fan? Are you in Disney? I did just move after Denver, after living in my house. I've lived in Denver since I was 14. We lived in our house for 21 years. Just moved to Orlando. We're getting ready to buy a home in Orlando. And so, Ray, I changed my background just to remind everybody, it's part of my talking point. I'm in Orlando now. But all three of my kids did the Disney College program.
Wow.
My two oldest daughters work full-time for Disney. My son was working at Disney up until this whole pandemic thing, but he's in line, right? As soon as they open back up, he's anxious to get back there. So we are officially in Orlando. And if anybody was watching our Connect Summit that we hosted earlier this week, Tina did some costume changes, wearing all of her Disney ears throughout the entire day. And believe it or not, I don't even own Disney.
Everybody loved it. Like I was getting everyone was blowing me up, going, "Oh my God, put the green ones on, put this one on, put this one on. I gotta send you mine."
Yeah, believe it or not, I don't even own the Disney ears because they're big and they're heavy. And I've never been a headband girl. Ray, you probably can relate. I don't know if you've never been a headband guy. But
except when my daughter makes me.
He's like,
look what I got, Tina. I got a whole little kit.
I don't have the pink ones.
These headbands. So now I can join you for the next time.
I need the pink ones for sure.
Michael said the same thing. He's like, you should have the pink ones, Mom. So you can see them in my.
You can see, they disappear and then they come back. And they disappear. Yeah, but you can see them right there. If you keep your head right there, you can see the pink bow.
Don't move, Angel.
Don't move.
Obviously.
Now half of the ear is gone.
Well, Ray, we are super excited to have you here. Where are you joining us from?
I live in Naples, Florida, about 3-ish hours from you.
Oh, I was going to say, are we neighbors? I'm still learning the geography. This is a big state.
Yeah.
It is a big state, yes.
When she first moved there, somebody came and had lunch with her. And she's like, yeah, I'll meet you for lunch. And she goes, Tina, it was an hour and a half away.
Yes. Yep.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I came and we had a call that afternoon and I'm like screeching home to try and make it. And I had left it was a 5-hour day because of the round trip of being in my car for 3 hours. So Naples, Florida. Have you always lived in Florida?
I'm originally from Indiana. I've been here in different parts of Florida for I think 30 years now. Oh, okay. Originally from Seymour, Indiana.
Well, this is our first foray. I never thought I would move to Florida. It was not in the plans.
Yeah.
Had a big calling.
It was a COVID travel.
It was a COVID thing. It was definitely.
We've had like 5 or 6 people who have sold their house during COVID just because they were so bored. Like, okay, let's just sell our house, and ended up selling their house like right away.
Florida real estate has definitely been blowing up since the pandemic, for sure.
Really?
Well, we found this house, Ray. We had come here for just a quick little trip back in September and found this home that we went to the open house on our way to the airport. So very random, just, wow. I mean, as random as it can get. And we were just able to put an offer in last Friday. And so it's been a big journey. It's been a big foray, but let's talk about you and all the exciting stuff.
Yeah, because that's what I'm here for.
He's thought you wanted me to talk about.
You've had a pretty exciting year. Like, what have you been doing this year? Or maybe I should rephrase the question. What have you not doing this year?
Oh man, yeah, we've been doing a lot. I mean, we sold a house, moved to Naples. We're building a new house.
Wait, you sold a house, bought a new house, and now you're buying another house?
No.
Oh.
We sold our house,
Uh-huh.
bought 2 acres in Naples, which we're now building on. So we're currently renting in Naples. And so it'll probably be a year and a half before that's finished.
Oh.
And just been chase around the kiddos. You know, we got our 5-year-old daughter and 1-year-old son, and they keep us busy for sure.
Oh my gosh, how fun is that? My babies, right? I still call them kids. And Alicia said to me a couple weeks ago, she's like, Mom, you've got to stop calling me the kids. She's 27.
Yeah. I have 2 older sons. I have a 22-year-old and a 21-year-old.
Okay. Yeah, my youngest is 22, or just turned 23.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh my goodness. This
COVID
brain. He's got to be 23 because the girls
I don't think they get insulted after a certain age. It's just like, whatever. Right? I mean, if you mess up 5 or 6, you're in trouble. But
or if they're 18 and they were 21, they'll be like, no, I'm 21. But once you like 25 mark, you're like, no, I'm 24.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
You start going backwards. But poor Sabrina, she has 3 brothers.
Yes.
Oh, she's not going to ever date in her life.
Well, I mean, she's the strongest personality of all of them. So, she's a firecracker, no doubt.
Well, for our audience, this is the Ray Higdon from the Higdon Group. He's a multiple best-selling author, former #1 earner in a network marketing company. He and his wife run an Inc. 5000 coaching and training company that in the last 2 years has helped network marketers bring in over, get this number, and you might want to write it down because there's a lot of zeros behind it, 300,000 new customers, recruit 70,000 new reps, and achieve almost 14,000 new rank advances. Those are some numbers. Like, that's some metric right there. I always tell people, you got to know your numbers, right? If you're going to be in business, you've got to know you've got to track, right? You can't measure what you don't track. That's significant. 300,000 new customers, 70,000 new reps, and almost 14,000 new rank advances. But wait, there's more. His new book with Hay House is called Time, Money, and Freedom. Shares he and his wife's 10 rules for transforming your life. Is the book out, Ray? Is it published?
Yes.
Is it out? Okay.
It has been out. I think this is the 3rd week.
And you're on the bestseller status.
Yeah, we hit on Amazon, we hit several different bestseller status. We think, although this hasn't been confirmed, so I probably shouldn't even say it, we think we hit Wall Street Journal bestseller status too, but we're waiting to hear back on that one. We've been having a blast with it for sure.
That is so exciting to publish a book. And I don't care if you've published one. I've talked to Sharon Lecter, who's published like 25.
Yeah.
It is always so exciting when that next book comes out, and to see it climb up that bestseller rank, to see it in other people's hands. And it's really, truly, truly making an impact in the world. Well, congratulations. So when we do our Tickled Pink media launches, we always have our authors do every day doing a media interview somewhere to get that book out. So you're on your official media tour right now, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Well, Angel, one of our guests, Wendy Stevenson, it has her story in this book.
Yep.
I seen her post that the other day, and I was like, oh, how awesome is that to have your story in a book like this?
Yeah.
All right. So
sure. It's amazing. Yeah.
So why now? Tell us about this book and what was what made you put it out right now?
Yeah, my wife and I, we've done a lot of your standard, I think, strategy books, right? So we've done, leadership for network marketing. We've done social media for network marketing. And what we kind of looked at was, a lot of the people that are seeking strategy, they really need a paradigm shift. And there's a lot of people that know the strategy. They know the scripts. They know the buttons to push. They know the how to do this on TikTok. But they have some hangups with their mindset, or they have some hangups with how they view money, or how they show up with a non-realization that their past is making them show up that way, and they're on automatic pilot. And so we we wanted to share, okay, if we look at our life of, I've been dead broke twice. I was a county worker working in a cubicle to doing what we do now. I was in foreclosure. I grew up in an abused home. And she has her, my wife has her own obstacles that she went through. And so we boiled it down to, okay, what actually was important for us to embrace, for us to create time, money, freedom? And we boiled it down to 10 rules. And so the subheadline is 10 simple rules to redefine what's possible and radically reshape your life. And so we share in there, these are the 10 rules. And, there is some strategy in there. Every chapter has action steps and things like that. But, we wanted to help that person that very simply wants to improve their finances and relationships, whether they're, not even an entrepreneur right now. Maybe someone, like I was sitting in a cubicle when I read my first book on being an entrepreneur in April of 2004. 1 year later, left that job. And so, no matter where someone is, if they want to improve their finances and relationships, we believe these 10 rules will guide them on how to do that.
You were in a cubicle in 2004 when you read your first book on entrepreneurship. Do you remember what it was?
My first one was Building Wealth by Russ Whitney. And Russ so I hadn't read Think and Grow Rich. I hadn't read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I hadn't read all the traditional things, right?
The traditional first books that a lot of people have read, right? The first
right. And so that happened to be my first book, and it was more about real estate. And I actually years later ended up hiring Russ, and he worked with us for maybe about a year, and we became friends and everything. But that was the first, and then I think the next one might have been Rich Dad Poor Dad. And then I got into Think and Grow Rich, and I got and kind of consumed all of them. And but yeah, that's where I was.
Did you ever read any of those Og Mandino books? Did you ever read any
Best Salesman in the World by Og Mandino?
Yeah, I love Og. Love his delivery style. I like different, and his style is different. And so, yeah, I love Og. Yeah.
I think those were some of the first ones that I was introduced to.
In fact, I still have the cassette tape.
Nice.
Of Og Mandino.
Nice.
We after one big purge, feng shui purge, right, got rid of all of our cassette tapes of, all of these great workshops that we used to attend. And several years later had that whole remorse, right? Oh my gosh, I can't believe we gave away, we just got rid of all of those.
Like, it was like in this little 5x7 like little thing. It had like a little pamphlet in it and a cassette tape inside, like this little like package. And I still have it. It's like such an old school type of thing.
Yeah.
But it had so much juicy goodness inside to help you build your business.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, if everybody could just read this book. Ray, what are some of the things that you see? I know you have a huge following, and you always say is mindset. So with mindset, what are some of the things that you see people are struggling with the most that you just like, if you would just do this?
Yeah. I think one rule, because each chapter is actually a rule. One rule that we're getting the most feedback from is our rule number 2, called pluck your weeds. And there's 2 unique things about it, in that a lot of books nowadays, it's popular to say, you gotta focus on the positive, right? Focus on what you want. And that's good advice for, 99% of situations. Pluck your weeds is a little bit different, because you look at, who do I want to be? What is the vision of the person I'm growing into? And then you turn that around and say, well, what is in my life that is incongruent with that vision of who I want to be? And so pluck your weeds is you identifying that. Now, some people hear pluck your weeds and they think it's stop talking to your mother-in-law or something. And that might be a weed.
People in your life.
But it's not limited to that. Yeah. It's literally how am I showing up, and is it congruent with who I want to be? So probably best to express, not in a song, but in an example.
Here we go, in song, and Ray Higdon for the first time ever.
My big debut. So I'll give you an example. And I think, and you know, I've shared this a couple times, and I shared in the book, of course, but people have gotten benefit from it. So early this year, January, maybe, I think it was January or December, maybe, we were at a charity function, and we're trustees. I'm on the board of that charity. And our neighbor comes up to us and says, "Hey, did you see the trip to Belize?" And I'm like, "Nope. What's the trip to Belize?" And, and keep in mind, this is all before, pandemic and everything. And she says, "Oh my God, it looks amazing. It's a 5-day trip, only 5 couples, private island, private jet, private yacht, private chef." And my wife is like, "Oh my God." I had to, right? To me, that sounded like hell. It literally freaked me out.
10 people.
And I didn't express that because fortunately she was reacting in such, a crazy way that, I had time to kind of think about this. And so she's like, "Oh my God, that sounds amazing. We got to do it. We got to do it." And I'm like, "Oh man, I hope we don't get it. I hope we don't get it." And so on the way home, I was thinking about that, and I'm like, why, what? I don't want to be that guy. I don't, number one, why? I should be excited about that. It sounds cool. Why am I so weird? Like, why do I hear that? And I'm just like, "Ooh, you get me the hell out of here." Right. And so I decided, and I'm going to, I'm the type of person that I see our relationship as it needs to be earned. Right. I don't take it for granted. I'm not like, "You're my wife, you listen," like I want to constantly earn her relationship. I want to earn it. I want to, not retain her, but, dazzle her. I want her to be excited about the relationship. And so I decided to pluck that weed, and, with a lot of meditation, with a mindset coach, etc. Why did I react that way to that? And why do I react to a lot of social events like that in that same way? I wanted to pluck that weed. Well, it turns out after some, digging that, when I was in the 3rd grade, I was in a very, very abused home and physical abuse. So almost every morning I was thrown against the closet and stomped. It wasn't a good situation for anybody. And my 3rd grade teacher knew that something was off and said, "Hey, Ray, I'd like you to start meeting with this person." And that happened to be the guidance counselor. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Okay. I'm in 3rd grade. And that guidance counselor starts asking me, questions. And I, I'd never shared with anybody. So I started sharing, and it felt really nice. I'm sharing what's going on at home. The only person, I'm not allowed to hang out with people. I have to stay outside. So I literally don't have any friends. And so it felt nice, to share that. Well, one day I show up, and it's the guidance counselor, my stepmom, who's the one doing the abuse, and my dad. And she proceeds to tell everything I've ever told her. And because she thought the stories were so outrageous that she didn't believe they were true and thought I just wanted attention. And that was the day I stopped trusting anybody. And so if you don't trust anybody, you can still operate in life by keeping them all at distance. So my entire life, I would speak on stage, razzle dazzle, right? Do a great job. But if you wanted to connect with me afterwards, I would find a way to get out of that conversation. I would find a way to retreat to my room. And some people would take that as, egotistical or something like that. It actually wasn't. I was so afraid of being betrayed again. And I didn't know this because that's an automatic program. That's an autopilot kind of thing. With that realization, I've actually eliminated all of my social anxiety, and all is a strong word, 99% of my social anxiety. And we ended up winning that charity auction for Belize. So we haven't taken it yet because of this thing you may have heard.
I was like, well, how was it?
We haven't taken it yet because of the, the whole COVID thing. But, that's a weed that could have been with me. It was with me my entire life, could have been with me till my grave. But by determining that is not congruent with who I want to be and how I want to show up in the world, was able to completely change a personality trait.
Well, and having that so many years ago, just think of all the things that would have happened if you would have plucked that weed in 3rd grade.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I mean, but some of the things you have to go through to become who you are today. So you never know. You might not be the person you are today if you would have done that so many years ago.
That's the only way to think about it.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can. You can't do anything about it. So you have to think that way.
We talk a lot. We've been talking a lot recently, Ray, about this analogy of being a glow stick.
I was just going to say that.
And how if you've ever had a glow stick, right, you have to break it. Right? You have to take that glow stick and it has to be broken in order for it to shine and do what it was supposed to do. And so we talk about being gracefully broken, going through stuff, right? We've all gone through some stuff: death, divorce, tragedy, loss of, right? Everything. But it's in that brokenness that who we truly are can shine even brighter, and our greatness can show up. And Ray, I love that you put that in early in the book, because so many people want, like, tell me what to do, right? All, so I can just check off. All right, do this on social, post this, say this.
Okay, done.
Read this. Yeah, right. Do.
Right.
But sometimes it's the undoing is where some of the greatest successes come from.
Right.
And I'm sure doing that chapter 2 book, they're like all ready to get started. Okay, I'm going to do this. And then chapter 2 book, you're like, and they're like, oh.
Yeah. And
oh man, I gotta
and pluck your weeds may not be, that's a deep example, right? Like that's like a hardcore one. A simpler one is, we were driving, mainly Jess, admittedly, was driving 45 minutes every day one way to take Sabrina to school. So 45 minutes there. If there was an accident, could be an hour and a half. And we're like, we don't want to be spending our time doing that. So we sold our house. That's a little different kind of weed, right? And so we moved closer to, we're now, 5 minutes from her school, and it's fantastic. It's amazing. It saved all kinds of time and just a lot, better. And so sometimes it's identifying something as simple as that.
Yeah. When a couple of months ago, somebody said, told me that I was a glow stick, because of the story that I had and the things that I had to go through 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're such a glow stick. And I was like, what does that mean? And she, she went in there and told me, she's like, Tina, you have to be broken, like almost in half, to be able to work properly and to shine bright. And that's what you're doing. And I was like, oh. And it kind of puts you in that situation that you're like, oh, wow. You wish you didn't have to go through that. Right. You're like, in the time, you're like, oh, this sucks. I hate being in this situation, especially like a young kid who there was nothing you could do. There was nothing that you could do to get out of it. We have several people telling us that you have helped them tremendously get through a lot of things in their life, both personally and in business. They can totally relate to you with the abuse and the rejection and the betrayal. I mean, you're changing lives here, and not just in the business side of things, but there could be that person who is a teenager or in college who can pluck that weed now.
Yeah, totally. And and there is, with in regards to the glow stick thing, there is an interesting phenomenon happening that I don't feel happened in years ago. And that is, vulnerability, transparency, authenticity is more than it's ever been. Right. And so, I think Brene Brown definitely has led, that movement of us putting down our armor, putting down our swords, and not having to be Superman, Superwoman, but sharing, here's what hurt me. Here's my trauma. Here's my abuse. Here's my, scars. And that has created something interesting that I don't know the technical term for it, but it's called victim envy, where someone says, dang, I didn't go through a bunch of stuff. Man, wish someone punched me in the face, and it's a weird, thing for people who've been through trauma and been through abuse. It's like, No, you don't. No, you don't. And so know that, you know, your feelings, your emotions, and how you were affected can really vary. I know I've had clients that grew up very, very wealthy, but could just not earn the respect of their father.
Mm.
That's real. That's tough. That is not to be poo-pooed because you weren't punched in the face or sexually abused.
Yeah.
That's not a lesser,
Their
like,
own
oh,
kind of rejection, their own kind
that
of
sucks.
betrayal.
That
It
sucks
all kind
too.
of goes the same down the same funnel. It's rejection or betrayal. You
Right.
know, one of the two. It might not be as bad, but
Right.
still as bad to them.
Right. Exactly. And so what you just don't want to fall into that trap of, I wish I had worse things happen to me, because you don't want
No, you
that.
don't.
You don't, and you don't have to have that. I do know, people that have succeeded wildly that didn't have an overly impressive traumatic, situation in their life. You play the cards you were dealt, and whatever that looks like, you play the hell out of those cards because that's your only option.
We've seen a lot of that here on the Angel and Tina Morning Show, and it just has happened because we didn't do it on purpose, but we've seen so many people come from such hurt situations,
Yeah.
taking their trials and turning them into triumphs. And the amazing things that they were able to do, drug addicts and alcoholics, and I mean, just these horrific things that, just 2 years ago, just 3 years ago, just 4 years ago, and here I am today, and we're like,
Yeah.
and it's amazing to watch and to
I know
see.
you had Michelle Eldridge, and I mean,
Yes.
her story is absolutely incredible.
And she was actually my co-host for the day, and she did amazing. But yes, her story, Brittany
Amazing.
Mckey, her story, Michelle Cunningham,
Yep.
they're just, the stories just keep on coming. And everybody has a different story, but it's the same thing. They took their trials and they took that hurt and that pain and that betrayal, and they did something with it. And now they're helping other people. And now all their followers are the people that have been hurt like this, because they see, oh, me too. If you can do that, I can do that.
Right.
So, Ray, this has been an interesting year for all of us.
Yep.
What has come out of it that, because it's almost like the best worst year for some people, like the worst best year. What has come out of this that you never thought would, or what did you do? Is there something you've done this year that you're like, I didn't think that's what would come out of such a challenging year?
Yeah. It's interesting. I remember really early on in the pandemic, I don't know exactly when, February, March, something like that, but really early on, I was interviewing Joe Vitale from The Secret and, Tractor Factor, and, he's in like 89 movies, I think. And it was interesting. He said, right now everyone's telling you, go inside, pandemic, go inside. And he said, maybe what they're really telling you is to go inside. Mm. And something, just hearing that was really good timing. And so I really looked at, this past year, like, what is really meaningful to me? What is where I really want to exert as much energy as possible. And so been able to fix some different personality trait issues, been able to pluck some different weeds that I don't think I would have, because right at that point, I was booked to keynote 10 different events. And, of course, all were canceled, or some went virtual, and, whatever. And so I really, had the pandemic not happened, I would not have had this much time to reflect. And, we're having, a good year. We're on track to do, have a great year financially and results wise, as far as with our clients and rank makers and everything. But it's been a different kind of time, and so, as far as, purposely spending more time, with my kids, more one-on-one time with the kids, working on how to become just a better person, not just a better marketer. And so it's, it's been it's been good actually, you know, and obviously you don't wish, you know, bad things and whatever. I liked what Joe said, go inside. And I think more people need to think that way, need to think about not how's the government going to save me or help me, but how can I go inside and help me? And because that help is there.
Yeah. That's very valuable, right? Go inside. And I think for a lot of people, they forced to, right? You know, forced to really think about what was most important and, you know, the things that we were doing. We all had these big schedules, right? That were all of a sudden, you know, ripped out from under us, you know, panic, right? Panic was ensuing.
That was me when I was in Tampa.
Yeah. And yet the opportunity, the silver lining to really reflect and not have that hustle and bustle consuming us. And even I think the nature of families, right? Just having so much on their plate and just go, go, go.
Yep.
I mean, we were playing board games together for the first time. We brought our girls home because they were furloughed and
baking cookies and bread and
well, there was that. There was that. I was spending a lot more time at the refrigerator than I had for a little while.
No.
It was, that's great. That's a great perspective to go inside, and we've all been given that gift. Well, Ray, I'm going to take a quick moment to highlight our sponsors of the Angel and Tina Morning Show. And I just want to say thank you so much for you being here with us this morning, because it's our guests who come on to be that bright start to your morning, an unscripted conversation, and maybe some conversations you don't normally hear when they're officially on stage. And, you know, when you're reading through their books, you get to know a little bit more behind the scenes about what's going through, right? What they're doing with their days. But the Angel and Tina Morning Show is sponsored by 3 fabulous sponsors. Bliss by the Lake Boutique. You saw they came on yesterday and hosted a really fun fashion show. And if you missed it, you can always go back on Facebook and catch the replay of their fashion show and check out their new stuff they've got going on. So we're super grateful for Bliss by the Lake Boutique as our clothing sponsor. Zandra TV Network, of course, we are digitally and globally syndicated on 7 digital streaming platforms: Roku, Hulu, Amazon, Apple TV, right? Go and check out the Zandra TV Network and find the Angel and Tina Morning Show on demand as you need, as you wish. And if you've ever thought about hosting your own show, maybe you do a podcast, you've got a YouTube channel, and you've thought, I want to do TV, schedule a discovery call by going to beonztv.com. That's beonztv.com. And check out the award-winning producer of the Angel and Tina Morning Show. And then Sonic VA. Thank you to Sonic. When everybody asks, how do you get it all done? We don't. Hire a VA or a team of virtual assistants to help you do what you do best and hire out for all the rest. sonicva.com, sonicva.com. And when you mention the Angel and Tina Morning Show, they're going to give you a 10% discount off your first 40 hours of service. And check out their brand new video assistant service, taking your videos up a notch and doing all your video editing for you. You don't have to take 6 minutes to record a video and 6 hours to edit it. Send it over to Sonic VA. So those are our sponsors. Ray Higdon is our guest, multiple best-selling author, author of the book Time, Money, Freedom, that you can get. It is an Amazon bestseller, maybe even a Wall Street Journal bestseller this week. We're super excited. Ray, what are you most excited about? Like coming down the pike, you know, what you're looking forward, like what exciting project are you working on right now?
Yeah. I mean, really, you know, we're still, you know, doing the tour, like you said. There's just nothing we've ever done that we're more proud of than the book. You know, really, you know, sharing how we got over different things and how we created abundance in our life, and how, you know, people can too. So I'm just so excited to get some of the stories out from that book. You know, someone that really inspired us is, and I talk about her all the time, but her name is Renee Adams, would be a great, you know, guest for you guys. But Renee was a contestant on our reality show, Play to Win. And she had never shared her story with anybody, like her family, nobody. Had never shared her story, had never spoken publicly, had never been a speaker or a trainer or anything like that. And, something about the magic of the show, she was inspired to share her story, which she had, unfortunately been through heavy physical abuse, sexual abuse, and even trafficking. And very, very tough story. And I, encouraged her to, hey, sorry you went through that, of course, but man, that, you could really inspire some people. There's some people that they may not have a go-to story. They may not have someone that they can look up to that has survived and overcome and created a great life. And within 2 weeks, she was speaking at abuse centers. And 2 months ago, she spoke at the 17th Annual International Conference for Human Trafficking and shared her story in front of 19 countries. And so I look at the bravery of, someone who has gone through so much and how many people that can impact and give hope to. And it just lights me up. So getting those kind of stories into the hands of people that really need them, because there's, especially right now, we're just being, if you're on default, you're being pummeled with fear, you're being pummeled with, being afraid of everything. And the world needs more hope. It needs more inspiration right now. And so, we finished this book before the pandemic started, but I just think it's really good timing for people to get this kind of thing in their hands.
That is an amazing story, because you are so right. People need to be authentic, because when you're on Facebook, right, is what I call it sometimes, it's all the people's fake lives. It's just the good part of your life. You're not going to put on there, oh, I'm just going through a divorce and da 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 da. You might put a couple of little hints in there. But I remember 2 years ago when my life kind of crumbled down, I didn't put anything on Facebook like that. They still thought I had this facade, being the gratitude specialist, having the happy life and being positive and full of gratitude. And I'm like, oh yeah, well, you have no idea. And so a lot of my friends, or even people that knew me, didn't know what I was going through, because I was afraid. I didn't want people to know that about me. I didn't want people to know that I just got a divorce and I just lost my 6-figure job and I just moved and became an empty nester and I'm hating life and I did all this in a 6-month period of time. And I'm like, you want people to think that you're doing good and that you're on top of the world. But when you have that authenticity on Facebook or any kind of social media, people start to see you and they see who you really are. And then you start getting these messages. Hey, what did you do when you did this?
Yeah.
Now I relate to you. And before you were just this perfect person on Facebook.
Right. No, I agree. I agree 100%. And sorry you went through all that. Hopefully I'm sure not hopefully, but you've inspired a lot of people of how you're able to get through that and overcome it. And so, kudos to you. I remember when, the first time I realized that, which I didn't understand, that this was actually the change in my career. This was the thing. And I didn't realize it at the time. I was asked to speak at an event in Myrtle Beach, and this was, we were building our network marketing organization, and a guy, Kenneth, asked me to go up there and speak. And I had never shared the story about my dad. And, I just, whatever, I was in Superman role, right? I had to be Superman and everything was awesome.
What would people think, or are they, am I making this up? And, that didn't really happen to him. What is he talking? That could never happen to Ray Higdon.
Yeah. And so I shared, that my story of, I went, 13 years, I didn't talk to my dad. He had never met my sons, who at the time was, they were 10 and 11 years old. And I was dead broke, in foreclosure, $1 million in debt, chased by bill collectors. And I go to this, seminar, and I go there to hopefully learn how to make some money because I'm broke. And I came away with, I have repair relationship with dad on a to-do list with no priority. And things that are on a to-do list with no priority, you lose the chance, right? People pass away. And so in 2009, I went and, saw my dad. He met my sons. We still don't have a perfect relationship, but we have a relationship. And I shared that story. I'd never shared it before, but something in my heart was just like, share that story. So I shared that story. And afterwards, Kenneth, the guy that booked me, he's walking down the aisle with tears just pouring down his face, man. He's shaking, tears coming down. I'm like, man, that really, hit your heart. And he said, I can't believe you just shared that story. I haven't talked to my dad in 17 years. Tomorrow, I fly out for his funeral. And I'm like, whoa, like that just like hit me like, man, like a truck. And my first reaction, which is, maybe a lot of people's reaction, was I beat myself up because I was on a webinar a week before. I could have shared it. Maybe, he would have done something and I could have helped that. And then my second reaction was, I need to be more vulnerable. I need to share this story, and I need to show up differently, because this is the stuff that keeps people back, is not their lack of a script or daily routine or any of that stuff. It's that emotional baggage that was holding me back, that was holding, him back. And, since I've shared, that story, thousands of times over the last, 10 years, I've had hundreds of people message me on repairing relationship with their dad, their mom, their sister, their brother, their, son, their daughter. Two examples where someone heard that story, went and visited their dad or repaired a relationship with their dad shortly after the dad died. And so literally they had to have heard that story in that exact time. Had they heard it a little bit later, they wouldn't have had that opportunity, like Kenneth, right? And so 100% agree with you. But that's what actually fueled me. People ask, why are you so consistent? I've done, a video a day every day since July 15th of 2009, over 11 years, never missed a day. I'm a lunatic. But they ask why. It's actually that. Yeah. It's not the pursuit.
Because I want to help just that one person. If I can help just that one person.
Those stories fuel me.
Yeah. And I love that. And it's kind of
our stories,
right?
It's showing up and being vulnerable. And it is interesting, Ray. It's very humbling, right? When people come up to you and say your story, like you changed me. And that day, right? Like no coincidence that they heard that story the day that they heard it. And even for that event producer to say, I'm going to the funeral, like he can still impact others.
Oh yeah.
That story will still have that impact.
Yeah.
And we take it for granted. Some of these things that are just seemingly happenstance. Yeah. But somebody told me once, described, like, if you think about mosaics, right? Mosaics are pieces of broken glasses in pottery, right? And individually, they're just broken chunks of pottery or glass.
I didn't know that.
So, but they take these pieces and they turn them into pottery, like designs, really beautiful, and they can be very elaborate. And it was described like, this is our life, like seemingly random introductions or moments, or I just felt called to tell this story, or to show up and to do, like, we feel this calling inside and we respond to it. There's no such thing as coincidence. There's no accident. You even being here this morning on the show. I know Tina has wanted you, to be in earlier. She had mentioned you probably months ago. And the time, I always say, when the timing is right, the timing is perfect. But our lives are like these little mosaics. Had you not done this and met here and been here, but when you look back, like from a distance, it is this beautiful picture that is our life.
Well said.
But it's humbling when you think, oh, I'm going to share this.
Yeah. Well, we just had that moment on Tuesday on their Connect Summit.
It's the ripple effect. Yeah. That Joel, who is it? Anyways, the ripple effect. The book. I forget his name. But he talks about that. And we had our 10th summit this year, Ray. We decided to do an event called the Connect Summit to bring people in to connect. And it was out of a panic call from Tina freaking out, right? She's like, oh, I lost all my speaking events. What are we gonna do? But what ended up happening was now we did 10 of these events, and the impact and the stories that we were able to come together and share. And it is, our stories matter, and sharing those stories. And I'm so grateful that you have shared and been so open and vulnerable with our audience this morning. What do we want to make sure that we cover and talk about with you? You have this opportunity, and I know you do videos every single day, but is there, another story? Is there a tip or anything that you want to make sure that you
what do you
share
want to
today?
leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, three things, which are also the three things we hope people get from the book. But whether you get the book or not, three things. One, I didn't always believe this. In fact, I very much believed against this, is you can create a great life despite a bad past. I used to not think that was possible. I used to carry, all of my past with me, and know that, I can only do so good because of this, all this stuff happened. And that's just not true. You can heal yourself. You can repair yourself. You can gain introspection. So that's number one. Number two, if you're willing to be vulnerable, like we've been talking about, you can inspire a lot of people. And let me tell you, the feeling of inspiring others is better than compensation. And, I'll just be straightforward. When I got serious about network marketing, which was 2009, I'm $1 million in debt, personal foreclosure, chased by bill collectors, deeply depressed. In fact, I had been drinking so heavily that even when I won my first incentive trip, I went there and got blackout drunk, and they wanted to kick me out of the company. I was so damaged. I was so messed up. Two of the three owners wanted to kick me out of the company. Now, I went on to become the number one earner because they didn't kick me out, thankfully. But I was just so damaged. And so if you're someone that stays in the lane of just compensation, you are very likely to burn out, because at some point you get to 30,000 a month, 50,000 a month. You know what? You can live a pretty darn good life and not really stress about money. And it can, if you're having, a lot of people reach that peak, and where they're either chasing limelight or they're chasing compensation. Now, both of those are great things. I'm not poo-pooing that. You should make tons and tons of money, and get lots of limelight. Awesome. But if those are your main drivers, you can reach a point to where you're like, well, I'm kind of bored or whatever. If you can work on impact and inspiration, there's just no limit. There's no limit. I know that there's millions of people who haven't heard, my story, who haven't heard your story, who haven't heard Renee's story, Michelle's story, that need inspiration. And so it keeps you going. The third thing is that with more money, you can do more good. And this is needed. We have, media, politicians, Hollywood, that are constantly trying to create class warfare against the rich. And that I've seen people that are like, they're, tax the rich more. And it's like, because the government is so efficient. Is that what you're saying? I don't think so. I want Elon to have more money because he's solving a lot of problems. And so is Bezos. The other day, we have our two kids stroller, and there's for some reason, this thing is super expensive, but it has no place for cup holders. I'm like, what the hell? And so I go on my phone and I go to Amazon, stroller cup holder thing, boom. The next day it's at my house. That's amazing. If you told someone that 30 years ago, they'd be like, what are you talking about, spaceman? They literally would think you've lost your damn mind. Because 30 years ago, you would have called up the general store or Walmart. Hey, do you have a thing that, I don't know, I'm busy, right? You would have been out of luck. And so now I can just boop, 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 2 seconds. Boom.
You have to have the name of the item. You just put cup holder stroller thing, and it's up there, right? Like,
And so, but to really get that message across, because it's constant class warfare of we're supposed to hate the rich or whatever, but with more money, you can do more good. You can only do a finite amount of volunteer work. And I'm not putting down volunteer work. It's very rewarding and awesome. And we love doing it. We encourage people to do it so that you feel that you're making a difference, but there's a finite amount. I can't volunteer 40 hours a week. I got kids, I got bills, I got to do work, I got clients. But we've raised $500,000 for the March of Dimes. We've helped fund culture training throughout the state of Florida to NICU and PICU nurses and doctors so that they have better bedside communications with these parents who are going through the toughest time of their life. Having a premature baby, is one of the most stressful things on the planet. And we actually funded a training on culture on how to better speak to those parents. Like, that's amazing. We raised $100,000 for, to fight against human trafficking, people that go on missions to rescue, kids. And so with more money, you can do more good. You can build the abuse centers. You can build the water wells in Kenya, the schools in Guatemala. You can fund your favorite cause. You can do something about it. There's been a lot of talk this year around, racism and how unfair and that kind of thing. Well, guess what? With money, you can put some money into Big Brothers Big Sisters, which helps provide mentors, which is one of the big things around that, is providing mentors, getting more kids off the street so they're getting leadership and getting mentoring and becoming more, responsible and powerful. And so that's also a theme that we want people to understand. We do something called Wealth Wednesday, where we get anywhere from, on the low side, 600 to 1,200 people every week that do a random act of kindness for a stranger. And we think in this kind of day and age,
I've been seeing those coming through, and people tipping like $500, $1,000. And at one point in time back in the day, I was a server, and imagine having $1,000 tip on some single mom who's struggling with her 2 kids who are barely making $200 a day. And if you can do something like that, I'm seeing them all over, hashtag Wealth Wednesday. Thank you, Ray, for, encouraging me. So you are making a difference, because I see it all the time.
But, it's not just the amount. It's not like, the very first one I'm aware of is in Australia, one of our rank makers put $5 in a diaper box. And, mom opened it and there's a $5 bill in there, and she posted on social media. It went viral. Like, it was international news. And it was funny because even that got some hate. Some people were like, well, why would you be putting
$5?
Really? And so the world, I think a lot of people have lost a little bit of faith in humanity, and those kind of acts, those kind of random act of kindness makes you feel good. Number one, right? You feel good. And so it's not, I don't want to make it about, it got to be a huge amount. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. I mean, if someone pays for your coffee order in front of you that you don't know, it's like, wow, that's really cool. I saw yesterday in Minnesota, I forget the number, but there were hundreds of people that had a chain that paid for the person behind them.
I love those stories.
I picked it off, but it was on a Wednesday. I'm just saying.
Right.
And so we're that kind of stuff is what I think the world needs more of. And with more capital, you can do more of that kind of stuff.
No. Wow.
Well, Ray, you have inspired, I know. And it is today isn't Wednesday. Well, we could have a leftover Wealth Wednesday.
We can have Tip Thursday, or
tip the bill Thursday.
Throwback Thursday.
And so go out and do something. Be kind to your neighbor, right?
Yeah, it's that time of year, it's that time of year to go above and beyond.
Every day.
Yeah.
And then if you would like to get the book, you can at tmfbook.com, Time, Money, Freedom, tmfbook.com. But really appreciate you having me on here, and I hope that it brought some value.
It absolutely did. It absolutely did. Well, my name's Angel Tussey. I am your media matchmaker. If you're looking for more exposure, right? You do have an incredible story to share. Like Ray said, Millions of people have not yet heard your story. You can grab my complimentary media starter kit with some just great ideas and great ways to get started on getting your story out into the world. Go to my website, makeyourbigimpact.com. That's makeyourbigimpact.com. And if you're interested in doing a whole Tickled Pink media campaign launch to put your book out into the world, you can text the word angel to 26786. And we'll get you plugged into our Tickled Pink media launch campaign. Ray, thanks so much for being with us today.
Yes. Oh my God. What an inspiring story. Ray, thank you so much. As Angel said, I've been stalking you a little bit on Facebook. But I am Tina Torres, your client retention expert, otherwise known as the gratitude specialist. And if you're struggling with attracting the right clients, knowing how to connect to them, or even if you just don't know how to convert them into clients, I have a complimentary guide that I hope you grow your audience organically online and offline. Learn how to connect and nurture those relationships, and then take those relationships and turn them into paying clients. You can grab your free guide if you text the word connection to 26786. That is the word connection to 26786. We are Angel and Tina on the Angel and Tina Morning Show, where we come to you live every weekday morning at 11 o'clock. We will see you guys tomorrow for our another cooking segment with Chef Maribel. Have a great day, guys.
Bye.